We're going to start out talking about some of the different blanks that we use, especially in the offshore side with the stand-ups and the IGFA. This video is going to be about, like I said, about building the stand-up rod. So I'm going to go into a little bit about the differences in the blanks, so you know what the differences are, whether it's a fast, a soft, moderate action blank, a soft back versus a firm back. These little terms that we use to describe the action of the rods, that translates in how the rods are fished. If you have a stiff rod that has no flexibility whatsoever, your lures are actually going to track differently than they are if you have a faster action rod. Now, the drawback of a faster action rod is you have a blank that wants to bend, coupled with guides that don't want to bend. So you have a little bit of wear and tear issues with the guide feet on the blank, and it's really a nature of the beast and what you have to deal with out there. But everything that you do in life is a give and take. So there are benefits in one area, but in the other areas you're going to be giving some back. First off, I have here this is a CalStar BRT 50-5.5. This is an IGFA blank. IGFA blanks are known for what they call a parabolic bend. This means that you're going to have a bend that is actually uniform throughout the length of that bend. So it's going to bend all the way down into here where my right hand is, and it's going to be a firm bend all the way up the rod. So there's really no difference in flex from the top of the rod down to the bottom of the rod. And you can see here that that bend will actually be consistent all the way through, like on a parabola. So all you guys that didn't stay awake in geometry class, I didn't either, but I had to relearn it again. But the parabola and the parabolic bend is what you're looking for in the IGFA rods. Next, we've got a faster action blank. A fast action blank means that most of your flex is actually going to be in the tip section of the rod. This is a CalStar 30 class stand-up tuna rod. You can see that the blank will stay mostly straight, and then you have most of your bend and tip flex. What this will do is actually give your lures a little bit better tracking ability. What the negative drawbacks are is that it'll also be very forgiving while you're fishing it. So if you're out and you're fighting those fish, this tip flex is actually going to be a little bit easier in fighting the fish. Where you're going to have some negative drawbacks, one is guide feet issues. And that's pretty much standard throughout the industry, that everybody sees issues with a faster blank. You are going to have some of the guide foot issues. On these rods like this, I wouldn't recommend going with roller guides. I'd recommend going with the turbos, whether they're Fuji or American Tackle or whoever. These guide feet on the turbos are more flexible, and the guide will actually give and bend with the rod. If you go with the rollers will tend to be more rigid because the frame is so much larger and so much thicker. So this is a fast action blank, and it's definitely a great fishing rod. But with this great performance and this great bend comes the price. It's a CalStar blank, so they're a little bit more expensive. I don't build many of those, but I build a fair amount. This is the bread and butter blank that I use. This is a Batson FSU 5.6 XH blank. It's got a great tip flex. It's got a great backbone. It's a great all-around rod. I haven't gotten any of these back from breaking. It's durable. It gives you good trackability with the lures. You can see the tip flex is moderate, and these blanks will bend down to about where my right hand is, and you can see, but you still have a lot of backbone for when you need to lift that fish. What I do on my rods is I build based on the rating. So if you need a 50 class rod, I'm going to use a blank that's in the 50 class range. 80 class as well. When you get up into the hundreds and 130s, that's when it's a whole different ball game. But these Batson blanks have been reliable. They've been great. There's great performance on them. So we're going to get ready and get this order started. This order is going to a gentleman down on the Gulf Coast who is fishing larger yellowfins. And he's going to be fishing in the, I think he said about 150, 175 pound range. So they're going to be good sized fish, and these 50s are going to give him great, reliable performance. So in a nutshell, I think this is pretty much the three areas that we have with regards to actions. We don't want a slow action blank. A slow action blank means that everything from here all the way down into the handle is mush. And there's really no one out there that makes a reliable slow action blank. Hook setting is difficult, everything. There's no backbone to the rod. Whereas with these moderate action rods, it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. It gives you the fast tip, and it gives you a nice firm backbone in the middle. So, so you'll have what you need in order to get those fish into the boat. And it'll be a reliable rod for you year after year. So that's pretty much where we stand now on this stuff, on the blanks. We're going to get started in a minute, and I'll start showing you how we get these rods set up. Alright, I'm back. So we're going to get started with laying out the rod blank. As you can see, excuse me, I'm going to step out of the camera here. With these rods, if we put this rod together as it is, this rod would be well over 6 feet. We'd be looking at about almost a 7.5 foot rod. 7.5 feet. So what we do is we've got a blank here that we can actually work with and take the segment out of it that we want that will give us the length that we need. These are going to be 6 foot rods. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with a pair of calipers, and what I've done is I do these rods all the time, so I know that I want a size 16 tip top. So what I do is actually come down from the tip where the calipers hit. The calipers will hit down here. So I want that entire tip top of the blank. I want all the blank to be up in the tip top. So I come up about 1/2 inch from that and mark it. And I know that that's going to be my top portion of where it's going to end. Then I work back up from that a little bit and put a mark. And that's going to give me my entire area where my ferrule from my tip top is going to be. So what we're going to do now is lay out this rod so that we can get to a 6 foot overall length with that tip being cut where it is. So normally I do this on the floor, but for videoing purposes I'm going to do this all in the rod lathe so that you can get an idea as to what's going on. So what we do is first we'll lay out is I'm going to lay this down here. That's going to be 6 feet. Alright, that's laid out. So we know that the butt end is going to be here. And my tape measure is going to be all marked there. And I've got to get this to 6 feet. So that is where my 6 foot mark is going to be. Then I come down, and I know that with these ferrules, my ferrule is going to be right in here. So I'm going to mark that blank there. And what that's going to do is give me a 6 foot overall length on that rod. We're going to cut a little bit off the tip, and we're going to cut about 10 inches to 11 inches off of the butt. So something else that I highly recommend is that you all put together a book. This is my recipe book. It's rods. Every rod I've done for the last 12, 13 years is in here. It gives me the dimensions, it gives me the cutoff lengths, it tells me how much to cut off the tip and how much off of the butt, the micrometers, everything. So, I mean, you can see here, this is a 50 class stand-up that I'm doing, and I got all my dimensions written down on a page as well as the guide sizes. So it tells me everything I need to do. And it's a good reference tool to have. It saves me from having to do a lot of work over and over again. Each blank is different, but within a couple millimeters of each other. So I know that I'm going to be able to get that blank at the right size to make the rod the way I need it to be when it's completed. So what we're going to do now, I've got the 2 marks cut here, or marked here. And what we're going to do is go downstairs to the basement, down in the dungeon, and get the grinding saw set up and show you the lathe down there and a little bit about what we do with that stuff, and then we'll take the next step. So stay tuned.